Hello, and welcome back to Cardboard Decoy Plays Kerbal Space Program. Now, suddenly there was beta. Like, pretty much. Now, actually, what happened was I sat down and I played and I moved some stuff around. So, number one, the cruiser is now in place, as well as the science. And we won't talk too much about the science, but suffice to say, I realized that I did not have enough RCS or enough ways to control it with the actual control bands. You know what I'm talking about. These things or their equivalent. Can we not spin around so much? That would be great. Okay, it's wobbling. That's great. Which button is it? Okay, it's that one. All right. So, yes, Beta has done things to us. Terrible, terrible things. So, basically, let's look at some of these things that it has done to us. Number one, it has added all of those buttons that you saw down there whenever SAS was on that I'm now afraid to turn back on. We'll look at it later. Oh my god, it broke all of that, did it? Uh, I'm gonna have to fix my station. Wonderful. Okay. So yeah, minor technical difficulties that I'll fix in between videos at some point, but now everything's all wobbly. Please don't destroy the solar panels. That's all I'm asking. Let's see. Yes, so it added all of those that add functionality to the ability to like your SAS basically. So you can point at different things and it'll keep it stable on that point, which is pretty handy, I would imagine. So let's see. Next is god, that's nerve-wracking. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. No big deal here. They made a lot of other little changes too that I haven't fully explored. Like I know they added a bunch of biomes, so I don't know how useful this add-on is anymore. I'm thinking it probably is relatively. Well, let's see. Big map's not going to work at all, so that's not good. Yeah. Well, that has limited functionality now, but that's fine. And then the other big thing that I have noticed so far is the way that the engines highlight. So now you can actually see through the ship whenever you highlight a particular engine. So there you go. You can see sort of a transparency, Left 4 Dead through the walls kind of effect on the engine there, so you know where everything is. Let's go ahead and we're going to shut down this engine. Just in case, because I don't want to accidentally spin these things up and then sad times happen. Alright. Shut down engine. Oh. Shut down engine. Okay, and then the last one over here. There we go. Okay, cool. And then, yeah, so I got those docked. I moved everything around a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to our map. No. There's one other big change. Hold on, I'm getting to it. No. Oh yeah, this. There we go. The other thing, if you hear me trying to relearn buttons, it's because I got Elite Dangerous, and with Elite Dangerous, as is pretty much close alarm details, pretty much perfunctory at this point, is you have to get a joystick, so I did. Oh, trust me, it wasn't just because of Elite Dangerous. It was I've been kind of wanting one for Kerbal Space Program, and I was playing God Factory Wingman for a while, and I realized I really like space flight sims. And you know what makes a space flight sim even more enjoyable is a. We won't talk about the price, but it was my Christmas present to myself was getting a Cytec X52 Pro HOTAS hand-on thruster and stick setup, and it is nice. I've gotten pretty used to it in the past week or so, playing a lot of Elite Dangerous. Again, I am like totally not caught up on videos on Kerbal Space Program, so I'm recording this the day before it's going to come out. Because I'm a slacker and I get distracted easily by other games, and yeah, what can I say? I mean, you know, that's the nature of the biz. Or something. Yes, where do we want to go? We want to go here. We're going to go ahead and jump to ship. As you can see, as this would imply, we're only down to 3 or 4 ships. It says 4, but I'm not sure where the 4th one is at the moment. That's disturbing. Oh well, I guess I'll find out. Yes, so we're going to go over to the lander mothership. One of the lander motherships, at least. Here we go. So we are here now. We can go ahead and just click on Stability Assist, and it'll do that. We are heading towards periapsis. So what we actually want to do is The good thing about this joystick is if you look over at my pitch on the lower left-hand corner, instead of being like with pressing keys, it's all or nothing. There's no in between unless you just tap it a lot. But now I can kind of, yeah, just a little, just a little. That's all I wanted. And that's pretty cool all by itself. So I gotta say. And, whoa. Stability assist is kind of interesting. It doesn't seem particularly stable if you ask me, but you know. Either that or I'm watching, whoa, interesting. Okay, cool. Apparently my dead zones are completely jacked. Alright, good to know. Very, very good to know. Alright, yeah, so, as most of the content that was added for, this, or it was the beta, it's no longer in alpha, it's in beta now, so 0.90 patch was, adding this piloting functionality, so basically, or well no, most of it pertains to career mode because you actually have to level up your pilots now, and then in order to get all those fancy buttons down there in the corner, you have to actually level up your pilots with their specific piloting, specifically with the pilot skill, and then also buying the correct parts that can perform those functions. So as you can see, there's still some buttons blinked out, and I have no idea what they do, but I'm going to guess that they would be real handy if I needed them. Okay. And just tiny, tiny adjustments. Okay, and then we'll fight the stability assist a little bit, and then we're going to try this out, because I haven't actually tried this out. So, it's going to point my ship at retrograde and hold it there, and that is okay with me. I am completely dandy with this idea. So, retrograde right now is right there, which means we're on a really wide arc over to the left there, and then, yeah, it's, we're going to just zoom over to where we need to be in order to do this. Okay, there we go. Oh, hey, let me see if... I just realized something interesting. Okay, 1 second. You can't see me do this, fortunately. Let's go like this. There we go. That's what I needed to do, was change the profile on my joystick. So now I can actually, I believe, use these. No, oh wait, I'm under time warp. 1 second. I'm gonna double check something here. Oh, I need to turn on RCS. Yes, yes. Okay, cool. Just checking. I have buttons configured specifically for docking, and I wanted to make sure those worked, but I had to load the correct profile and mode. Ah, complicated. I remember whenever toys used to just be like, you know, Legos and shit. God, you know, old guy stuff. Okay, now we're cruising. Yeah, look at him go. Alright, and... yeah, it's going to automatically time warp me out, which is convenient. I'm going to drink some coffee while it's doing that. And then... we are good to go. Okay, delete on close, and the ship is going to immediately spin around to retrograde for me, which is awfully nice of it. Okay, can we maybe not waste monopropellant? We got monopropellant to waste. I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, after my science excursion where I basically had little to no monopropellant left while I was trying to dock, it took hours to get it right because I had to reload a couple times and I messed it up, and I mean, this is all within sight of the space station. I had like 25 monopropellant left, and it was all like, okay, make the tiniest movements possible, and then, like, readjust. So never forget your stability wheels. There we go. That's what they're called, right? Okay. So now, we want to go to map, which is this. Oh, come on. Are you serious? Alright, fine. We'll do this. Alright. Still handy to have the map, or I should say the keyboard options whenever you need them. What does that say? 4 minutes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and, you know what, we'll just fire it up real quick. Let's throttle up very gently. Good stuff. Again, I have throttle controls that are now physically represented and no longer decided by how quickly I can tap the shift key, which is a blessing with a capital G for whatever reason, because, you know, you gotta capitalize the end of the words too for emphasis sometimes. I don't know. It's a very 90s chat room of me. But let's go ahead and we're gonna stop it at about, nah, we'll go to 200,000. 200,000 meters, 200 kilometers, if you will. Man, it's freaking crazy. Again, playing Elite Dangerous, like, my sense of scale and speed is completely backwards from what it has been for quite some time now. And it's kind of interesting to, like, feel this difference now. Because, like, 200 kilometers in Elite Dangerous is basically nothing, because you have the warp drive, which basically, it kind of functions like a very progressive time warp in this way, where you're going, like, exponentially faster over time. And then you just sort of flit about from place to place, and then you exit warp at about 1 megameter, which is 1,000 kilometers. And at least I think that's what a megameter is. It should be, right? It's kind of like a megabyte, etc. So yeah, it's very weird going from the very quick, precision yet, what do you call it? Blah, 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 jerky sort of. Twitch, there we go. Twitch gameplay of Elite Dangerous to this very slow and intentional and thought out kind of Kerbal Space Program, which is, you know, not something you would ever expect anyone to say of Kerbal Space Program, but here we are. It is definitely much more thought. You have to sit down and, like, do all the calculations and everything else, and Elite Dangerous has the freedom of just being like, I'm a flight simulator in space. What's that? You want to go somewhere? Come on, let's engage the friendship drive. Which is, you know, actually the frame shift drive, but if you're not paying attention very closely, it does kind of sound like what they're saying friendship whenever, you know, if you apply just the right accent to it. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool in its own way. It's in the same way that Kerbal Space Program is cool in its way. They're two very different presentations of the same concept. And by no means does it cheapen either of them to be so. And that I can definitely appreciate. I'm going to go ahead and add a maneuver here just in case we can get an encounter out of this. And I want to see set as target. Because the dream is, if we could just knock it out all in one maneuver, that would be fantastic. And it looks like we might actually be able to if we're careful. Cool. I can dig it. Yeah. Let's see. That's 5 kilometers. We can deal with that. We can definitely handle that. Here we go. Maneuver node, anti-target, target. Aha, that's what those are. All right, cool. Let's go to maneuver node, and then we'll do this. And again, this is all kind of testing out the functionality of this. And so far, I kind of liked having to manually maneuver, but at the same time, after a while, I realized that, you know, you can only do it so many times before you're like, okay, I get it. I'm only human. I'm going to be off by, like, just absolute shreds of a degree away from where I need to be pointing. That's nice and that's fine, but really I want to get this design and mission figured out and everything else, and I don't want to sit here for like 8 goddamn minutes trying to figure out if I'm pointed at the correct prograde or retrograde marker or not. So I am maybe just a tiny bit relieved that I no longer have that stress upon me and I can focus more on the design sandboxy aspects. Again, though, if you play career mode, which has been expanded upon extensively, it might be much more rewarding to have it later on as opposed to right off the bat like this. So it's one of those, like, you probably will rush research it, almost certainly. I don't see why you wouldn't, but at the same time, you know, you can also have some fun with manual controls and seeing what kind of craziness develops out of that. Alright, here we go. We're coming in on our maneuver node. I'm going to just go ahead and punch the thrusters up. Okay. Okay. We're going to speed it down a little bit here. And... okay, so that should be pretty dang good. Let's see, what's my encounter at? Oh yeah, my encounter is just dandy. Alright, so is this the wobbly one? This is the wobbly one. Okay, cool. We'll just have to be a little bit careful once we start doing more maneuvers and all of that. How long until this? 2 hours. Okay, cool. So we'll just time warp right over to that. And time warp right over to that. Yeah. We'll get this guy in and docked, and then that'll be the end of this episode, and then we'll come back on the last dock, and then we'll start talking about how our science is going to work as a mission on its own in the next episode. We'll start trying to put together science modules and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and... Where are we at? We're at 14 minutes. Oh yeah, we're going the wrong direction again. Fantastic. So this has happened before, where basically I caught the orbit with the station in a very different fashion from how I caught the orbit with a startling number of my actual ships. So it's kind of interesting to deal with that. Let's go ahead and... Yes, target. Can we... let's turn on SAS, turn off RCS, and point retrograde, please. There we go. It's going to spin for us. We're going to wait for this to get significantly closer, and then go ahead and speed down and everything else. Fortunately, I mean, despite the fact that we're going to require a great deal of delta V in order to pull off this maneuver, the good news is that, you know, we have nuclear engines and just an unbelievable amount of fuel that ended up being in great excess to what we actually needed in order to pull all of this off. So, not a bad thing at all. In a very relieved sort of sense, this is exactly how I wanted it to turn out. So we do have to remember to refill those main tanks there, and the outside tanks again do not have the problem or the burden of being out of fuel because they are not attached to anything, which, much to my chagrin. Let's see. Yeah, that's getting drained out. Those are getting drained out. This is all well and good, so not a big deal whatsoever. Now, why are those getting drained out just fractionally while this one is not as much? Did they change the mechanics on how fuel tanks work? I'm not entirely sure. So I guess this is very good for maintaining retrograde, prograde, so on and so forth, but actually achieving that orientation might be better left for human hands by the look of it, because SAS is still all kinds of SAS-y. That was a bad attempt at a pun. So, and a pun which they intentionally left in according to the tutorial, so. And, let's see, here we go. We're getting oriented. We're going to bleed off a lot of speed here because we are approaching at terrifying speeds. So let's go ahead and pump up the juice a little bit. Pump up the juice. Pump it up. Alright. Let's just do this. Okay. We're going to get it down to about 100. And then what I want to do is actually try to use what we know about the nav ball and how the nav ball interacts with everything in order to maybe do some fancy maneuvering here. And get a little bit closer to the station as we approach. That would be just dandy. Okay. And there we go. 100. Alright. Let's go ahead and go back to stability assist. I'm going to turn the ship. And we're going to attempt to push our retrograde marker closer to the target. Like so. Let's angle down. We don't want a whole lot. We just want to nudge the thing around. So as you can see, I'm pointed in such a way that would blow our ship a little bit closer to the station. So it makes sense, see? We're chasing the retrograde marker over to the station. And that will bring us in for a much closer approach. We don't want to know. I don't want to get too close because, again, at some point I'm going to have to jettison these fuel tanks, and I do not want them crashing into the station. As much as I would like to just go ahead and dock and then, like, reload our own fuel, I think that's better suited for a separate mission where I'm actually equipped to handle that with drones or some such, because it is a little nerve-wracking. The sense of scale of my station has been ruined now that I've added ships to it, because I was like, oh, what a huge and grandiose thing I have created. And then, naturally, of course, I, let's see, retrograde, yeah, go ahead and adjust for that. Once I started parking ships on it, I was like, it's not that big. Why aren't you as big as I remember you being? You're supposed to be gargantuan. And, you know, I'm not judging you personally, but you're not gargantuan. You're just pretty big. Yeah, yeah. Still, much bigger than our moon base attempt, and also going to set the stage for future space station construction paradigms and all of that fun. So, should be real good stuff. We're going to go ahead and time warp here and see how close that gets us. Whoa, that was a lot of time warp that I didn't necessarily mean to use. Oh, interesting. You see that light on the front? And then I D-time warp and the light moves away towards the back of the ship. Not weird at all. Suddenly I can't move my camera. This is strange. Why is it... Ah, okay, there we go. Oh, God, I hate that thing sometimes. Alright, let's go ahead and juice up the thrusters a little bit. And it is quite dark here on the dark side of Minmus. And it's going to make this whole maneuver business a little bit more difficult. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and end this video. And yeah, we'll dock the last little bit. And that will be what it looks like once we dock everything. So, you know, for tidiness sake and all of that, not the worst idea. And so, yeah, this has been Cardboard Decoy playing Kerbal Space Program. If you have enjoyed, please do like, comment, and subscribe. And whenever we come back, we will put the finishing touches on our great huge convoy that has taken a week of airtime in order to complete, and all will be well. It'll be rather fun. I'm trying to just barely adjust and do these things. Okay, good stuff. Either way, yeah, until then, have fun.